If there's one thing about Gypsy, she loves drama, she loves the spotlight, and she loves attention from men. Boy, do we got a shit show to cover today. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Danielle. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. So for those of you who don't already know how I feel about Gypsy Rose.
Can't bring me down. I'm on a high right now. I'm living my best life and y'all can't take that from me.
Let's just say I'm not a fan. I'm sure she would say I'm a hater or panini press.
Looks like you're the one that's panini pressed.
But I just don't understand the glorification of somebody who literally conspired to their mom. It's weird to me. I think this whole obsession with her is silly, and I think she needs to get off social media and focus her energy on some serious therapy. So if you've been living under a rock, Gypsy Rose is a woman who has recently been released from prison, and she now has a reality show post-lockup called Life After Lockup. Gypsy was imprisoned for conspiring to murder her extremely abusive mother. Her mom subjected her to Munchausen's by proxy, faking a bunch of medical conditions to keep Gypsy dependent and under her control. We're talking about putting her on a sleep apnea machine when she was extremely young, a feeding tube, multiple surgeries, getting her teeth pulled. It's just a completely horrific story all the way around. So Gypsy conspired with her then boyfriend to have her mother killed. Now that she's out of prison, the show features her stepmom Christy, her father Rod, her sister Mia, her ex-fiancé Ken, who she got engaged to behind bars, and her now husband Ryan, who she married also behind bars. So yeah, it's just this whole messy love triangle because she was engaged to Ken, they broke up, and now she's married to Ryan, but Ken is still in the picture because it's evident Gypsy cannot be single. She's never been alone a day in her life. So right away you can tell that Gypsy's the type of girl that has to have a man around in order to feel fulfilled. It's partly why I say, in my opinion, she needs to focus her energy on therapy. But let's just be so for real right now. Anybody who goes out of their way to seek someone in prison to either date, marry, or write is just plain creepy. If you're already in a relationship with someone and you write to them to keep in touch and keep your relationship going, that's one thing. But to actively seek out prisoners to date, that's a little concerning. So this video isn't going to be a review of the show. I want to focus on the characters involved in Gypsy's life. I just want to warn you guys before we get started, I can't necessarily share clips of the show for copyright reasons, but I still want to show you what I'm talking about. So I might try to include some distorted clips and change the audio if I can. So I don't want you guys to get upset. I know some of you have your chonies in a bunch by me distorting the audio. Trust me, I'm not doing this for fun or because I like squeaky voices. I'm just trying to avoid a copyright strike. Thank you. Okay, so these guys, Ken, her ex-fiance, and Ryan, her now husband, already knew about Gypsy and who she was before they started writing her, before they were even in a relationship with her at all. In my opinion, they saw her as vulnerable and broken, and they chose to write her anyway, which is seriously creepy. And I think Gypsy really enjoys the attention from not only these men, multiple men, but also from the media and the spotlight. That being said, I can set my feelings aside and still have empathy for not so much this Gypsy, but more so this Gypsy. I genuinely see her as being exploited from multiple angles, being taken advantage of, and being surrounded by, like I said, creepy men that are trying to prey on her. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's dive into the Lifetime series, Gypsy Rose, Life After Lockup. I truly believe this show is a prime example of how to exploit people for maximum drama. So before I even started watching, I had already heard how creepy and controlling Ryan was. So going into this, I fully expected to focus on that angle, but by the time I was finished, my perspective kind of shifted. So I'm going to start off by talking about Ryan, but then I'm going to focus on Gypsy and the stepmom because their behavior is just seriously concerning. First off, Ryan is a peculiar guy. He makes me a little uncomfortable. Definitely gives me the ick, but one of the things that made me just feel really unsettled was the way he kept saying, I just want to love on my wife. I just want to love on my wife. It was just, oh, so gross to me. Like every single time she wasn't paying attention to him, if she was with her family, texting someone else, whatever, he would just get upset and start whining like a little baby, being like, I just want to love on my wife. Oh, it was just so gross. He has a very pick-me type of personality. He's just such a whiny tiny little baby, and he just constantly has to have attention. Later, we'll see why he might have been so clingy, but this is something that definitely stuck out, the way he was just like, I want to live on my wife. In the very first episode, he's going to pick up Gypsy from prison, and on the way there in the car, he pulls out a cologne and squirts himself up, and he's like, she likes the smell of the... This is a horrible accent, but he's like, she likes the smell of this. This is to get her in the mood. And it's just like, oh, so gross.
Spray my cologne on. She loves my cologne. Put her in the mood.
And then she gets in the car, and he's immediately rubbing up on her leg, rubbing up on her thigh. Bro, chill out.
So it feels so weird being in a car.
Yeah, I get to touch your leg. Oh, I missed you.
I miss you too.
You feel good.
You just can't stop staring at me, huh? You just can't stop staring at me, huh?
You want some fries?
No.
You don't?
No, I just want to
Okay.
just be right now.
Alright,
I'm just
you
gonna
want me to
be.
leave you, babe?
No, I don't need to leave.
It was just so creepy, especially given that this is her first day out of prison, and it seemed like his only focus was to get her in bed right away. And we have to remember, Gypsy isn't just some girl getting out of prison, right? She has a lot of trauma, including sexual trauma, which she later brings up in the show, which makes it difficult for her to experience pleasure, enjoy sexual intimacy, and whatnot.
I still haven't orgasmed. I've never orgasmed with a partner.
Can you orgasm by yourself?
I don't even know that.
Okay.
Like, I have that past history with being molested too. So, getting past the mental blocks is hard because I'm like so self-conscious.
I just thought this whole thing was just a little inappropriate, and Ryan actually brings this up on TikTok saying that he's not a creep.
I did see some comments where people thought I was creepy in the first episode. You got to realize, guys, that was my wife getting out of jail. That night I was excited. You know, you got to realize I was ready to be intimate with my wife for the first time. Waited 3 years for that night. We talked about that night a lot. So if y'all thought that was creepy, imagine you getting out of jail and your husband doesn't want to touch you. You know, doesn't say anything about it. You'd be thinking something's wrong.
In my opinion, no matter how much him and Gypsy had talked about the night of the release or fantasized about it or whatever, this situation needs to be handled with extreme caution and care due to her trauma. Sure, they might have talked about it endlessly on phone calls or whatever, but we have to remember Gypsy is someone who grew up until a very late age believing in like Disney fairy tales. She was raised thinking she was a lot younger than she actually was, and so you can tell she's still chasing that Cinderella or Rapunzel fairy tale. So while Gypsy might play into those fantasies, the reality of intimacy is a whole different ballgame. Gypsy has significant trauma surrounding sex and sexual intimacy, which makes the gap between fantasy and real life even wider. This is something Ryan seems to overlook, and it's clear he lacks the emotional maturity and understanding to navigate this delicate situation with Gypsy. So on her first night of release, they go back to a hotel and they're just talking, and she asks Ryan, "What if I snore?" And he disgustingly jokes and says, "We'll have to put you on a sleep apnea machine," which literally her abusive mother did to her as a child as a form of abuse.
What if I snore?
We got to get a divorce right away. I mean, what do you think? What if you snore?
I don't know, because none of my
I'm gonna
roommates
get you,
ever
I'm
said
gonna
you
get you a
snore.
sleep apnea mask, and then we'll really be happy.
Nope.
I know you don't need that. The moment I said that, I thought, I'm not your mother.
No.
So I just think this joke was in poor taste and furthers my point that he lacks the emotional maturity and understanding. So later on in the show, Gypsy goes back to Ryan's house and she's going through the drawers and she's pulling out all this lingerie that Ryan got for her 2 years ago when she was still in prison.
This is a bra that if you put it in a nice bow, it's like a Christmas present bow. And as you can see, it's nothing to it. So he bought these for me about 2.5 years ago. We just started dating. And I think he had like full confidence that we would work out perfect. I always wanted to wear this one for the first time. But I ended up just being like, all right, let's do this.
Oh, what the fuck, dude? I mean, this whole show was just so trashy and gross. There wasn't a single time, not a single time, that I felt touched or anything felt sincere or genuine to me. Throughout this whole show, Gypsy gave, you know that girl in high school who's a late bloomer and she finally loses her virginity and wants the whole world to know that she's had sex? Yeah, that's the kind of energy Gypsy gives. Gypsy kept absolutely nothing private. Nothing was off limits. Every little detail about her husband Ryan, she would go tell Christy and her sister. Everything her family said about Ryan, she would run and go tell him. She's so messy. And it became very clear that if there's one thing about Gypsy, she loves drama, she loves the spotlight, and she loves attention from men. She's constantly stirring the pot. Even when she makes that post about Ryan, you know, the one where she says, "The D is fire." That post, she goes,
You know who's probably seeing this and getting so mad? My exes.
and the satisfaction on her face. It's disgusting.
You know who's probably seeing this? I'm getting so mad. My exes. I love it.
That look on her face, you can immediately tell. She loves attention from the public, the media, and specifically Ken.
My exes. I love it.
And to me, this clip shows just how manipulative and spiteful she really is. Seriously, this show is so trashy. Gypsy spilled every aspect of her life, including the most intimate details. On her second day of filming, when they go up to visit her family and they're staying in her family's house, she told the camera,
We've been having sex the last 2 nights.
and they were like, even with your family next door?
We've been having sex the last 2 nights. Even in here. I was like, shut up. Yeah. Even with the family. That's why I slept so good last night.
So gross. Like I said, it's giving late bloomer that needs to tell the world that she's now having sex. And not even just Gypsy, but her, Ken, and Ryan all give off the biggest pick-me vibes. Ken and Ryan are just trying so hard to prove something, which makes it feel even more exploitive and uncomfortable to watch. Ryan's out here bragging left and right about landing Gypsy. When they go on the Vile Files podcast and Good Morning America, he pops his collar and goes, "I'm that awesome, I pulled this." And then he just keeps hammering home that Gypsy chose him over Ken. And it's sad because he's trying so desperately to prove to himself and the world that he's superior to Ken in every way. It's like he needs this to boost his fragile ego. And instead of focusing on helping Gypsy heal or encouraging her to work on herself, he treats her like a damn trophy wife. He's so caught up in buying her lingerie and Louboutin, like $1,000 shoes. It's like he's using these gestures to validate his own worth. Both guys that Gypsy's involved with, Ken and Ryan, they lack the emotional capacity and intelligence to be with someone like her who carries such a unique trauma. Ryan, in the show, he even admits that any little thing can be a trigger for Gypsy, which means if she's gonna be in a relationship, she needs somebody who's ready to do the work, someone who's willing to participate in therapy and get the right tools and guidance to navigate a healthy relationship given her complex circumstances. And then there's Ken, bending over backwards to prove he's not a clout goblin, which he is. One episode dramatically ends with him getting all mic'd up and being like, "Oh, I've never spoken out to the media, I've never been on camera, but it's time I tell my side of the story."
I've never done an interview before because in the past, I didn't want to play a part in the media circus.
It's a super circus now.
It is, it's crazy. Yeah, she's blown up more than I ever thought she could, or wanted her to.
And so why now? Why do you want to talk now?
Well, I'm more separated from her than ever, and I just feel like it's important for me to share my thoughts and opinions on her in the time that we spent together, and everything will unfold as it should.
Please. Then he's all over Gypsy's TikTok live repeating over and over that she's pregnant with his baby.
It is my kid, bro. Sorry to disappoint any of you guys who hope it isn't, but it's mine.
I think you've answered that one enough.
I know, well, they keep asking. I'm just
There's
saying.
about 50 clips that's gonna be posted after this.
I don't give a shit. Post them. It is mine. Sorry, bud. And you are the father. I knew. I know that.
Because, spoiler alert, Gypsy's now getting a divorce from Ryan and in a relationship with Ken and having his baby. I'm telling you, it's messy. Speaking of Gypsy's TikTok lives, they're constantly on TikTok live and they are so messy. It's literally like watching Jerry Springer over and over again. It's so messy and so trashy, it's almost comical. And it's so funny because Gypsy claims she wants to live a simple life, a life most people will take for granted. But it's clear she is absolutely addicted to the attention. The show, Gypsy's dad even raises some red flags that she might be trying to get close to celebrities because that's what her mom used to do. Apparently, he had found receipts from country singers and celebrities that were showing donations to Gypsy and her mom. And so apparently Gypsy and Ryan had plans to go see Taylor Swift, and she wanted to meet Taylor Swift or something like that. So her dad was concerned that she might be wanting to get into that life, and seems that's exactly what she's doing. I mean, it's clear with her constant social media presence, wanting to meet Taylor Swift. She apparently did an interview with Kim Kardashian. It seems like she might be falling back into that pattern of seeking validation through fame and celebrities. And honestly, I can't help but agree with him on that one. So yeah, while I could go on and on about how weird Ryan is, I want to focus on Gypsy's stepmom, because to me, her behavior is, I don't know about more concerning, but just as concerning, let's just say. But I just have to say, throughout the whole show, they really tried to portray Ryan as controlling. One notable moment was when Gypsy was on her phone looking at puppies, and Ryan was sitting next to her, and he kind of kept looking over her shoulder at her phone. And she was like, "You're hovering."
You're hovering. Thank you.
Clearly annoyed by his presence. However, given the recent developments where Gypsy has now left Ryan and in a relationship with Ken and now pregnant, I can't help but, dare I say, feel kind of bad for him. Maybe feel a little sympathy for the guy. I can see why Ryan felt inadequate and kind of like he was walking on eggshells around Gypsy all the time. Because I swear to God, throughout the entire show, she would not shut up about Ken. And the reason why I think Christy's behavior is concerning is because throughout Gypsy and Ryan's entire marriage, she was still in contact with Ken the whole time, who's Gypsy's ex-fiancé. And she even says, just because my kids break up with them doesn't mean I break up with them.
I loved Ken. Me and Ken still have a friendship. And I don't care if who likes it or not. When my kids break up with somebody, I don't break up with them.
So she remained friends with Ken and was talking to him on a regular basis. She was completely overstepping, and it seemed like she had no respect for Gypsy and Ryan's marriage whatsoever. On Ryan's first day back to work, because if you didn't know, Ryan's a school teacher and he had taken some time off work to pick up Gypsy from prison, and considering the fact that they got married while she was still behind bars, he took some time off to kind of experience their newlywed era together, with her being a free woman now. So eventually Ryan obviously has to go back to work, and on his first day back to work, he calls Gypsy multiple times and she sends him straight to voicemail.
Oh, Ryan's calling in. I'll give him. I declined it for a second just so I could finish him. It's fine. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Well, I cleaned it out and I washed all the clothes.
Why? Because she's on FaceTime with her stepmom talking about Ken.
Like before I met Ryan, Mom, I was holding on so hard. I never let go because I thought maybe at the end of it all, maybe a week before I got out, he'd come back in and say, you know, I'm ready to be with you through this. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. Can we pick up where we left off? But it never happened. And
I'm going to tell you straight up, he wanted to. But he didn't want to ruin your happiness. He loved you that much. And he still does.
Christy basically tells Gypsy Ken reached out, he regrets leaving her, and that people in his circle were saying if he really loved Gypsy, he had to let her go. So that's why he broke up with her, was so that she could go find herself, which is a huge crock of shit.
Can't check in.
yes,
You wrong.
just to see how you were doing. And I was like, it's doing great. He's like, that's all I want. Okay.
You just worried, and you can't blame him.
Yeah.
But he had told me that he loved you enough, he needed to let you go so you could find yourself.
Now you know you're wrong for getting in her business.
So, is that why he ended things with me?
He regrets it.
Meddling.
I'm gonna tell you straight up, he wanted to.
Girl, you
But
messy.
he didn't want to ruin your happiness. He loved you that much, and he still does. Don't cry. cry. You don't make me cry. I want to cry.
You messy, Christy. Christy, I don't even know your name anymore.
I loved him so much.
I know. And look, there's always going to be a part of you that does, and that's okay.
Gypsy starts getting all emotional and she goes,
If I wasn't married to Ryan.
and she snaps her fingers. Like if she wasn't married to Ryan, she'd be with Ken in a heartbeat. My God. Then Gypsy goes,
Well, I'm going to have to tell Ryan about this because we have an open line of communication. But there was a time that I didn't want that in case Ken would call.
so she's saying basically she kind of regrets having this open line of honesty with her husband so that she could talk to her ex-fiancé.
I mean, he wants to reach out. He does. But he don't want you and Ryan to get into an argument.
And it would cause an argument. Ryan and I, we have like a complete open line of communication and everything. But also, like, there was a time that maybe, like, I wanted, you know, not to have it. So in case Ken would text, and I'm like, that would be still harboring an omission. I'm going to tell Ryan about it later. But knowing what you just told me, in a different world, if I wasn't married to Ryan, knowing all of this.
I know.
That's messy.
I need to say it, girl.
You messy.
And then Gypsy says something about him having a girlfriend. So it kind of sounds like Ken might have broken up with Gypsy and then had another girlfriend. So then Christy goes, well, he's single now. It's like she's pushing for them to get back together.
I just don't understand because it's like, he found someone else.
Well, he's not with anyone right now.
Of course not.
No.
Of
Right.
course not.
But you are.
But don't worry, Gypsy loves having these men fight over her. She's just eating this all up. So while Ryan's back at work, Gypsy spends a whole day cleaning out the fridge, throwing away all the leftovers, the condiments, cleaning out the closet and whatnot. And when Ryan comes home, and she does this multiple times throughout the show, she does this thing where she kind of rubs it in his face. Almost seems like she's trying to get him to get upset so he can fly off the handle and be like, see, he has an anger problem and he's controlling. She's very manipulative in that way. So after she's done showing him the fridge, he's irritated because she threw away all the condiments and his leftovers. And she picks up a can or something and asks him, why do you have this? And he goes, I don't know, maybe I wanted someone to come over. Maybe my ex-girlfriend. And the look on her face, she goes,
Oh yeah? I got something to tell you later. I'm gonna get you back for that one.
she's smiling. Basically what she means is she can't wait to tell him about Ken. What Christy said about Ken.
Where did these come from?
In case somebody ever came over, didn't it? Maybe my ex-girlfriend came over.
Okay. I got something to tell you tonight.
What is that?
I'll get you back for that.
Oh, really? No, get away from me. No. No. I don't like that. No. Get away from me. No.
With just the most shit-eating grit on her face. And then the next morning when they're interviewing Ryan, they asked him, you know, what did Gypsy tell you last night? And he's upset, obviously. And he's not only upset with Christy, he said he's mad at Christy, but he's also upset at the fact that Gypsy got so emotional about all of this. I mean, how do you expect the man to react? You know, she's married to this guy. And I guess basically his response to Gypsy and all of this was, well, go be with Ken then. If you love him so much, go be with Ken. I mean, really, how do you expect him to react? And then in one of the later episodes, Gypsy's having a conversation with Christy, and she tells her that she woke Ryan up from a dead sleep to tell him that she missed Ken.
A couple days ago, I went to the bedroom, woke Ryan up. I said, I need to tell you something. He said, I was asleep. I said, I miss Ken.
He must have woke up quick.
He did, and he was like, you need to let that go. You need to let him go. You are married. And I'm like, I know I am, but I think that we both need to come to terms with the fact that I have two men in my heart, and he's still there in my heart. It was the day before Valentine's Day, too.
Like, why would you do that? I'm telling you, it's Since she was never allowed to date when she was younger, it's obvious that she's extremely immature when it comes to relationships, and she's really liking this new attention that she's getting from men. And the stepmom is on my nerves. She's constantly trying to overstep and get in between Gypsy and Ryan's marriage, trying to throw the Ken wrench in there, even to the point where the dad had to step in and have a conversation with his wife, Christy, and he said, if anything happens between Gypsy and Ken, it's gonna be your fault.
I just hope from here, if they got their closure, let's close the book on Ken and don't talk to him.
I'm not getting involved in.
So just do like I asked you and don't ever, you allow the door to open up. If Ken wants to reach out to Gypsy and they want to communicate, you should have told Ken, I can't help you. If something happens with Gypsy and Ken, it's going to be your fault.
And it's so funny because I watched the show on YouTube. I paid for it or whatever. And one of the comments said, I wonder if the stepmom was ever a homewrecker in her past. And hit the nail on the head. That's exactly the type of vibes it gives. Because she doesn't see anything wrong with it. She doesn't see anything wrong with Ken coming in the middle of their marriage.
So what are your thoughts after all that? I'm not gonna lie to Gypsy. That's the thing. I promised her that I would never keep anything from her because that's what Dee Dee did. And I'm not like that. If she needs to hear whatever he has to say for her to heal, let her freaking heal. My gut, I think that it's not fully closed.
So then in the show, Gypsy's pretty much getting a makeover. She's getting her teeth fixed. She went to a consultation to get a rhinoplasty, to get her nose done. And then she goes to dye her hair blonde. And this is so crazy because Gypsy said the reason Ken gave her when they broke up, I guess she said, he gave her tons of reasons. She said he threw every breakup line in the book at her. And one of the reasons was that he liked blondes. So when she went to bleach her hair blonde, I knew exactly what the bitch was doing.
He is interested in blondes. I'm not blonde, I'm a brunette. So I'd go in the shower, take fingernail clippers, and just cut my hair off. Trying to do everything I can to get his attention again. I would have given anything to that man. I would have bought the sun, the moon, and the stars and gave it to him on a platter. And that hurts me that I loved him that much.
And I just felt so, poor Ryan. He just had no clue why she was bleaching her hair blonde. And he goes, you're changing so much. First your teeth, then your nose, now you're blonde. Are you even gonna be my wife anymore?
So you're gonna get a nose job, you're getting your teeth done, and your hair is gonna change. You're not even gonna be my wife anymore. Like, who are you?
I am gonna be your wife.
Who
I'm
are
just
you
gonna
be?
look super hot.
You're already there.
You might feel that way, but I want to feel that way.
I just hope it doesn't change your looks up too much. I know you're gonna look beautiful. I'm not
Oh,
worried
it changes a
about
lot. Ryan feels like Ken is possibly a threat.
You know, now that she's happily married, now he's trying to come back and try to weasel his way in. It's like my guard's up, but at the same time, it's like she's never gonna want it. I feel like it. I don't think she's gonna do that to me.
And it's just so sad because while yes, Ryan was creepy for reaching out to her while she was in prison, he still loved her with her old teeth, her old nose, her old hair, and it just seems like she's changing all these things to try to measure up to be enough for Ken. And it seems to me that her changing all these things to appease him is a huge red flag. And it just kind of broke my heart a little because Ryan kept asking Gypsy to remarry him. They went and looked at venues because he wanted to get remarried out in the free world because their first marriage was in prison and he wanted to start a family and all that. And she just kept saying, it's not the right time and it's not the right time, which fair enough. But then she divorces him and gets pregnant right away, which okay, fine. But why not just be honest? Why not just tell the man instead of saying it's not the right time? Why not just say you're not in love with him? Why even get married? You shouldn't fucking marry somebody when you're not over your ex. It's just so fucked up. It's just so evil. And the way she kept leading Ryan on and then hurting him and hurting his feelings, it was so fucked up. Gypsy literally just treats her marriage like any old relationship, just like boyfriend and girlfriend. It's like, girl, you're married. Hello? Like, if you're not over Ken, you shouldn't be getting married. It's just so, she's so manipulative. Then later she's talking to Christy and she's like,
I talked to Ken and I asked him if he wanted me to wait and not get married.
Christy asks her, what'd he say? She goes,
He said he wanted me to wait, but he didn't say he wanted me to wait for him. Not only did I call Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation that Ken and I had, I was honest with Ryan about it. I asked Ken, I said, if you don't want me to get married, then you need to tell me now.
And what he told you?
And he told me that I want you to do what makes you happy. I think you should wait. But he didn't say wait for me. If he would have said wait for me,
He wouldn't.
It's like, girl, why does somebody need to tell you to wait for them? If your relationship is that fragile and that's all it takes is for somebody to tell you to wait for them, for you not to want to marry them, then you shouldn't be marrying them. Hello? That's not what marriage is. It's like, be with somebody unless somebody better wants you to wait for them or wants you to be with them. Marriage isn't just like any old relationship. Your marriage should be so strong that no matter who comes in and wants to be with you, wants you to wait or whatever, it should mean nothing to you. It should be insignificant. It's so weird. She even questions, what if me and Ryan get in an argument? Are the wheels gonna start spinning and am I gonna start thinking, Ken is single?
but what's gonna happen when Ryan and I have an argument? Is that little thought in the back of my head gonna say, Ken is single?
Mark my words, and I don't wish this on her at all, but this is what I genuinely see happening. I guarantee soon enough, he's gonna leave her too, because it doesn't seem like he's genuine at all or in it for the right reasons whatsoever. The only likable person in this entire show is the sister, because on Gypsy's first day back home visiting her family, she's telling her stepmom and her sister that they finally consummated their marriage. They finally had sex or whatever. And the stepmom is like giving her high fives, congratulating her, just being so creepy about the whole thing.
So what'd you do last night?
Was the bed comfy?
The bed was comfy and it was so nice. It was so nice. We consummated our marriage. You were so happy for me.
Bragging rights, girl. You deserve that.
And her sister is the only one who has some sense and brain cells to rub together and pulls her into the room and asks Gypsy if they could have girl talk.
I just want to have a little girl talk with you.
Okay.
The birth control. Did you figure that out?
Not yet.
Okay. Do you want kids right away?
I mean, I want kids. I don't think that right away would be smart.
Great.
I'm not gonna say that if it happened, I would be sad. I just don't think that I'm not gonna try. I just wanna, I wanna settle into marriage. I know in my heart that the marriage is stable, but I just wanna feel it out first.
You should probably schedule a gynecologist appointment
Yeah.
soon. Probably could find out how many eggs you have left and all that, and if you are able to. And me talking to you about this is not me telling you to have babies or me like,
I know.
I want you to have kids. I just
I
want
know.
to prevent that.
Right,
actually.
you just want to make sure that I'm doing the
yeah.
right thing.
When it's on your time.
Yeah, I understand.
You're welcome. Somebody asked to. Now you have a sister to talk to about this.
Thank
you.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that the mom should be, having with her. She doesn't give a shit. All she gives a shit about is starting drama and getting her back together with Ken. Then later, when Gypsy and her sister are in the car, Gypsy's talking about how they were intimate and how her and Ryan have been having unprotected sex. I swear, this whole show is Gypsy bragging about how much she's having sex. It's just like, girl, start an OnlyFans already, please. Ugh. And then later, Gypsy's like, I'm a freak. So gross.
Oh my God, I'm a freak.
But anyways, when Gypsy and her sister are in the car, Gypsy is like a child. She's so ignorant about the way pregnancy works. She's telling her sister about how, they're having unprotected sex. And her sister asks her, do you plan on getting pregnant? Is this what you want? Do you want to go get the day after pill? And she goes,
I don't think I'm pregnant.
and she's like, why? And then Gypsy goes,
Well, because we did it last month too when I didn't get pregnant.
and her sister's like, that doesn't mean anything. That's not the way it works.
No.
So something happened though.
What? Did he you? Did you take anything? Oh my god. You still can. There's still time. I'm not even joking. My test is on this stuff. Gypsy, you cannot have a kid right now.
It wasn't. Okay, this is the situation.
You are not on anything. The chances are very high. It hasn't been 72 hours, has it? No. Do you even care to take anything? Because it seems like you don't want to.
No, I don't care. I don't feel like it's going to happen because
you don't know that
didn't happen last month.
You did it again last month? Gypsy.
It may have been one time that it was an accident, but it didn't result in anything.
It doesn't matter.
Bitch, why are you having sex if you don't even know how sex works? That's how I felt throughout the whole show. I swear, it's like teaching your little high school sister about sex ed. Gypsy is just so, I don't want to say dumb, because that's mean. She's not dumb. But it's just like, girl, she has no common sense. Like, even Ryan's a teacher, right? And even her comments on social media about, the D is fire. He's kind of like, you know, my school isn't happy about this. And then she starts talking about sex and having unprotected sex on camera. And Ryan gets upset. And she goes, you're just upset because I'm confiding in someone. And he's like, I'm not upset because you're confiding in someone. I'm upset because you're saying this on television. And Gypsy thinks that Ryan's upset that she's telling her sister about their sex life. And it's like, he's not upset about that. He's a teacher. He can't be having the whole school and all the children's parents hearing about his sex life. Hey guys, I am outside of my work. I just pulled up, but I just finished editing this video and oh my god, it took me so long. It took me literally over a week to edit this, but I guess that's what happens when you're a normal human with a full-time job. Wah, poor me. But anyways, a couple things I wanted to mention. One, since I do have a job and I know by the time I film, edit, and upload these videos, the news or topics I'm talking about can be a little stale or old. Do you guys mind if it's like a little old a week later? Or do you only want to hear about stuff that's relevant and hot tea? Second thing, I love how at the beginning of this video, I'm like, this is not going to be a review of the show. Proceeds to be a full review of the show. Anyways, who cares? Last thing I wanted to mention was the show is not over. The fat lady has not sung. So, do you guys want me to continue with this and do maybe like a follow-up part 2 of the rest of the episodes? There is another one out. I haven't seen it because I don't want to spoil it for myself. I wanted to edit this first and then watch it. It's been out for a couple days, so maybe I'll wait for the next one to come out and then watch them, and then I can film like an update, another review of the show that I will then again call a non-review of the show. But yeah, let me know if you want a part 2 on the rest of the episodes, or if you're just like, I don't care, move on to the next thing. That's totally fine too. Oh, last thing I wanted to mention is, so Gypsy was bitching at Ryan in the show about how she wanted a dog. She started kind of like a little argument about it, but she just kept saying how she wanted a dog, and she didn't like how Ryan was making her feel, what is this? And she didn't like how Ryan was making her feel stupid and making her feel like she couldn't handle a dog or was an idiot and not responsible enough. Well, they end up getting said dog, and when she leaves Ryan, she leaves the dog with him. Since she's now dating Ken, she is always seeing his dog, but she left her dog that she wanted so badly, that she was literally crying over, left it with Ryan. Like, what do you, like, seriously, even in the show, her dad says she's 30 years old making 17-year-old decisions, and I could not agree more. Anyways, guys, I gotta get into work. I'm already running late. Hope you enjoy this video. I will see you in the next one. In my opinion, this whole show is just a mess of boundaries being crossed and manipulation. Gypsy's constantly stirring the pot, combined with Christy's inappropriate involvement, creates an extremely toxic environment. It's no wonder why Ryan's emotional state was shaky and their marriage faced so many challenges. The lack of respect for boundaries and the obsession with drama point to how Gypsy and those around her handle relationships and personal trauma. So anyways, guys, I know this was extremely messy and I was just all over the place, but I was just kind of word vomiting everything. I just had to get it out. But I have to know, what do you guys think about this? Does Christy and Gypsy's behavior raise any red flags for you? How do you feel about Ryan, Ken? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please. Anyways, guys, that's all I got. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.